Why do European scientists and the rest of the world say Africans are dumb? Ask them who built Zimbabwe City, Songhai, Babylon, Mohenjo-Daro, Maya pyramids, or Egypt on earth. They will say they really don't know. But if you visit these areas, there are artifacts left behind by the builders of these civilizations. Who looks like them today? Ancient Egyptians, Canaanites, Ethiopians, Phoenicians were all Bantus, not European, Asian, or Semites. How do we know the answer? We have already given the answer. They look like that. Their descendants are still here on earth today. Their IQ tests prove that Africans are dumb. Shown here. Africans 70, they are the least. You can get this source, third abridged edition of race, evolution, and behavior on these pages, on this website. But all of them continue stealing and looting African artifacts. Why? This is a committee, Hebrew Ethics, look into, they say Africans are dumb, but steal African artifacts. Europe and others continue looting African artworks from people whose IQ is close to those of idiots. Who then is more idiotic? Why would a genius copy and paste a work from a dunderhead? Remember, every African is an artist. Within every African head is an intellect, a natural, original, native spirit in amnesia, but feared by every other race on earth. There is a Hamiti Hebrew ethics program that others have used to unleash and wake up this genius spirit. Here are the areas where they stole African art: ancient Kemet or Egypt, Ethiopia, East Africa, Southern Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa. The credits we give them to the people that designed this map. Civility in Africa is thousands of years well before that of Europe. Look at how these people are organized. The Rosetta Stone, what many have not been told is that it was found in Africa. And is the language now skewed to Europe, which is an error, was used to unlock the hieroglyphic script, which Europe and Europeans had destroyed when they conquered ancient Africa. More questions. British forces seized Ethiopian treasures at the Battle of Magdala in 1868. But how many elephants did they use to carry off the loot? Almost 200 elephants. Then they are very excited, very happy, and boasting, and then calling themselves geniuses, but stealing African art. Stealing from a person or a people they say were dumb and dull. Who is dull? Who is a genius? Njunde means woman of God. We protest using God. We no longer use God, but we want to continue in the language of the Bangba people, now owned by the DAPA Foundation in Paris, France. After Mr. DAPA closed in 2017, mystery surrounds the sculpture's acquisition by the German colonial agent Gustav Conrad in 1899. So how do they call the Germans, the French, how do they call Africans dumb? They say Africans are dumb, but they steal African artifacts, even stealing music and musical instruments. The oldest preserved guitar-like instrument was discovered in Africa, used by Africans. It's still used today. Every African is an artist. Within every African head is an intellectual genius, a natural, original, native spirit feared by almost every other race on earth. Possibly you are familiar with African masks and headdresses. African artists also made thrones, staffs, buildings, doors, furniture, grave markers, pottery, weaving ancestral figures, textile, musical instruments, jewelry, clothing, wood, and metal are some of the most common materials used to create African art. Metal. So metallurgists began in ancient Africa. Nowhere else on earth. Artists also used the clay, cloth, pigment, shells, skin, ivory, horns, feathers, and bone. You can start more from this slide. Africans are a genius race. If Europeans were such geniuses, why is it that their museums are chock-a-block full with stolen African art? Why are they digging up our ancestors' graves and displaying them in public glass coffins. If they are such a genius, why is archaeology based in Africa? By Africa, I mean Babylon, I mean ancient Egypt, Mohenjo-Daro, and all other African countries on earth, not only necessarily in African continent. There is the master art, aesthetic master art beyond anything called genius. Figures such as these, carved of soft steatite or soapstone, are frequently found by the Mende people of Sierra Leone and are called Nomoli. Read more from that. What a genius race we are. But some they steal. Today they digitalize and steal and claim that it is theirs. Like this artist, English artist Dlamini Hirst, who has been accused of cultural appropriation after his exhibition, Treasures from the Wreck. He made this. And boasted that he's an artist, not telling the truth. The Nigerian Victor Ekmeno wrote, the young ones will grow up to know Dlamini Hirst's work. The narrative will shift and the young Ife or Nigerian or African or black person on earth, a contemporary artist, will someday be told by a long-nosed critic, your work reminds me of Dlamini Hirst's golden head. They won't tell him that Dlamini Hirst copied from his ancestors. That's how they do it. Wrote Ikmeho. He spoke to CNN and said, it's time to get appropriately credited. This is African art. This is stolen African art. Read more from here. Visit Victor's website here and study and read more about it. African art is all over the earth. All over the earth. Blogger Moza Moyo, on his blog shown here, wrote this: one priceless piece of our identity that was wickedly snatched from us is our artifacts that are now scattered all over the world, miles away from their native lands. Fantastic. Stolen, and then the narrow-mindedness will never know. They are the totems. They don't know that they are totems. They call them half human, half animal. They are not half human or half animal. They are totems. In Dahomey, there are 3 totems there. African art, stolen by others. In the United States and European Museum, there is fantastic art from this museum. Infuse the spirit. This is the Congo art. Look at that. Look at that. No other race on earth, not even one race, can produce an art like this. None. Most who are now producing this have studied and copied this and spent millions and millions of dollars training their own people to do something like that. And now with the graphic art, and now with 3D production, that's when they can do it. But the original natural genius produced that. It's only an African. In German museum, you say the Germans are smart or scholarly or academic. This is what they stole from the Dogons, the art which they stole. There is again more proof that the Germans stole. They call Africans dumb, idiots, primitive, but not even one African went to Europe to plunder and to kill and to steal. The German consul Max Bachner wrote in his war diary, Lok-Priso's palace is plundered. Lok-Priso's palace was in Cameroon. A colorful and striking image. We set it on fire, but I have asked all the houses to be inspected before to find ethnographic treasures. They can't say to steal. They say to find ethnographic. Why would you find ethnographic? Why do you want to study our culture when we are dumb? Why do you study a culture of a dumb person and keep the art for hundreds of years? The princely botang of Lok-Priso, which will be sent to Munich, he called it my main booty, is a great wooden carved work. Look at that. No other race can produce many of these. None. Even if they take hundreds and hundreds of years, they will not. Look at that. You should read this book, Akuna Bampe Bonaberi 1884 Liberty Romain edit book, where it shows and many of these works. They even went to the Europeans to steal crowns, to steal the hair of our kings. What they do? Read this, all of this from this avrolegends.com website. But they call Africans dumb. They are now digitalizing our works. This is a granite column with palm leaf capital shortly after it's discovered among the ruins of the temple of Ramesses. And then they show you Ramesses, who is a European old man they just picked from a grave and said this is Ramesses, and millions of Africans say, oh, he was the European. Look at the original Egyptian there. Visit this website. This is they also changed the names. This is the actual name of the place called Hierapolis now. Anas, they call it Ethna El Medina. That's Arabic. Or Hanisea is the modern name of that's Arabic. Its actual name is Anasi. Anasi means Nyamus, means today. Or Neni Nesu. That's its original name. Visit this website that I'm showing to see this has not been changed. I didn't change it. It's Neni Nesu. That's the capital city, the name of that capital city. This is our art. Look at the art. Look at that history. And Europe continues to say that we are dumb. Some 3,000 old Benin bronzes that are mostly held in British Museum and Berlin ethnographical museums are being loaned back to their place of origin. Why loan them back? This is African art. Ivory art. You can go to this Wikipedia and see what a genius race we are. As they say, Africans are dumb, and still African artifacts, millions of Africans fall into the education money scam engineered in Europe. Many religious traps, and many believe every lie that comes from European churches, white Arab mosques and books, and European laboratories like the bell caves, forgetting that every African is an artist, every African is a poet, a spiritualist, a genius, and a spirit. Only Africans are spirits. Time to awake your genius is yesterday. Vukani Matabe Zulu, claim your tools. Co-work with us to move out of the Euro lullabies and be the spirit again. We are a genius race because within every African head is an intellect, a natural, original, native spirit feared by every race on earth. Tatenda Siabonga, thank you. This is Priest Rabbi Ellen Tumizulu. This is our website and this is our email. Visit us and let us work together. Have a great life.